You're listening to Good Morning Gwinnett, a division of ABK Media Group, hosted by Audrey Bell Kearney, sharing stories about people and places around beautiful Gwinnett County every day at 9 a.m. Southern living at its best.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another edition of Good Morning Gwinnett. I am your host, Audrey Bell Kearney. So happy to be here with you this morning. Happy Thursday. We are on episode number 51. I am really doing a lot this year. I got some really big goals set for this year. And one of my goals is to take this show and make it global and reach 1 million subscribers and downloads. So we are on our way. We're at episode 51, and I'm so happy to be here with my guest today. I have with me today Judge Barry. He's a retired judge, Judge Barry L. Williams. He's going to be talking to us about what you need to do if you want to file a disability claim. I know that there are a lot of people out there who have been trying to get disability. I have friends who have been trying to get disability, and they ran into so many roadblocks with the process. And I think a lot of them, some of them are still waiting right now. But I've also heard some horror stories about people who are trying to scam the system. And so that's why Judge Williams is going to talk to us today about what you should be doing, what you should not be doing, and to let us know what exactly you have to, what kind of illness or sickness or disability you have to even file a claim. Some people think they can file a claim for just about anything, and I'm sure he's going to talk more to us about that. But let me just give you a little bit of background on my guest today, because I'm really happy to have him here. In 2016, Judge Williams retired from the Social Security Disability Administrative as a Social Security I got braces, so bear with me. I know you guys hear me talk about this all the time. I'm going to get them off soon so I can talk right and my lips don't get stuck. He is a retired Social Security Disability Administrative Law Judge. He started his new company in 2016, Advocate Disability Group, LLC, to be a champion for the disabled. Now, he's going to be helping you. He's on the other side of the counter now. He's helping you other than judging you. Now, who better to help you get your claims filed, formed, and possibly approved than a judge who's been doing this for some years? And so he's going to tell you some of the steps you guys need to take. Now, some people want to do it themselves. I'm sure he has some advice for you. Me personally, when it comes to anything dealing with the law and the government, because I just feel like it's a lot of work, I don't want to do all that. So without further ado, I'm bringing on Mr. Judge Barry Williams to be my guest. Thank you so much for taking the time out to be my guest today, Judge Williams.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Now, I know you've been a judge for quite some time. How long have you been a judge?
Well, I came to the bench in Social Security in late 2010, actually beginning of 2011. And so I had been an attorney with the United States Army for a number of years. I worked in private practice for a large law firm, a small law firm. And I went back to the government and worked for the Department of Defense doing work down at DOJ, Department of Justice. And then I got picked up as a judge.
Well, that's so cool. So I can now say I know a judge. I'm proud to say that. I don't know. Oh, that's not true. I know two judges personally. Now I know you and I know another judge out of Jersey. There are a lot of people out there right now who are listening to the show who have been trying to get their disability forms and their claims filed. And I know for some people, they've been told, you know what, you really don't qualify for disability because of the condition that you have. Even though they may think it's a severe disability, the government may not. What are some of the qualifications that a person needs to even file a claim for disability?
Well, there really aren't any qualifications. It all comes back to your impairments and how you're limited by those impairments. Impairments run a full range of anything from a back problem to loss of a limb. There are just too many problems that limit people from working to discuss them in a short period like this. So any problem that you're experiencing could be, or any limitation that you have, could be something that would disqualify you or disqualify you from working or qualify you for Social Security disability. It's too difficult to discuss them all. But generally, people have back problems, degenerative disc disease.
Mm-hmm.
They have problems like lupus, which is an autoimmune disease. They have other problems like arthritis that just comes with old age. A lot of it depends on how old you are and how limiting those impairments are upon you.
My cousin recently, and I know she had been fighting for this for quite some time, and she's 56, I think, but she has really bad osteoarthritis in both knees to the point where she could barely walk. And for a while, they were telling her you don't qualify, but she literally could hardly walk. So they finally did approve her, but that was with her being really a champion for herself, because she didn't have an attorney. And I think for a lot of people, they think that, if I get an attorney, it's going to cost me a lot of money. I'm just going to try to do it myself. And I know that's where your agency comes in at, because you help them without, having all this. Well, let me not say that. Maybe you could tell people, what's the process when someone comes to work with you? I don't want to say the wrong thing, and people be like, I heard Audrey say that I didn't have to pay the man. So what's the process when someone wants to come and work with you to help them get their claims formed properly?
Right. Let me give you just a slight bit of background. You said agency. We're a private law firm.
Okay.
Not an agency. I started actually along with my son, but when I was a sitting judge, I noticed that far too many people were being disapproved at the lower level, and their case had to come before a judge. And in fact, I believe that far too many judges were disapproving claimants. Now, they were disapproving them for many reasons. One, the medical file wasn't substantial enough, or they had poor representation. That representative didn't really know the rules, the regulations, and the Social Security law, and a myriad of other reasons. But because I observed so many people being turned down, I decided to retire and start Advocate Disability Group, LLC. We provide a unique service to those individuals who are seeking to be approved for Social Security disability. The process starts down at a state level. You apply for Social Security disability benefits in one of a couple ways. You walk into the local Social Security office and apply in person. You can apply on the phone, or you can apply through the internet at www.ssa.gov.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell individuals that if you are able to, I suggest that you apply without the help of an attorney. Why do I say that? I say that because there are professionals at these offices that will help you apply. They will guide you through the initial process and help you apply. If you decide to have an attorney help you, there's going to be an obligation to that attorney if you're approved at the first level. Generally, attorneys charge 25% or up to $6,000, whichever is the max. It will never be more than $6,000, and very often less than $6,000 if the 25% is less. Now, that's 25% of any back benefit payments that are due. The attorney earns nothing out of future benefit payments, out of back benefit payments. Let me take a moment to explain.
Mm-hmm.
If you apply for Social Security today, it will take approximately 3 to 4 months for you to get an initial decision down at the state level. If you are disapproved, in some states you go directly to a judge. In the state of Georgia, you do not. You have to file for reconsideration. That takes approximately 3 months. So now we're already 7 to 8 months into the application period. If you are turned down once again, then you have to apply or ask for a hearing or request a hearing before an administrative law judge. That, unfortunately, takes about 18 months to happen. So if you have a representative and that representative wins your case before the administrative law judge, it is he or she is paid out of that back payments. Because remember, you applied, according to the scenario that I just gave, approximately 24 months prior to the date of your hearing. So the attorney would make 25%. The general rule is 25% or up to a maximum of $6,000 out of the back payments that accrue.
Okay, now quick question for you. Why would someone, if they could walk into the state office and start this process themselves, why would they opt out of doing that versus, going with an attorney? What would make someone say, you know what, I don't really want to do this. I'm just going to go with an attorney. What are some of the reasons that someone may say, you know what, I don't want to do this. I'm going to go with you, Judge Williams. All
right. Let me say there is definitely a stage where you need a representative, in my opinion. But the initial stage, in my opinion, if you don't suffer from a psychologically based impairment, if you are able to read and write well, if you are able to handle most of your business affairs, I personally don't believe you need an attorney at that first level. Now, if you fall into one of those categories, or if you just say, I don't have the time, I don't want to take the time to go through the process, surely you can hire a representative. Surely I'd be happy to help you, or the people in my position would be happy to help you. But I say, why give up some of your money in the beginning where there's no need to? Now, if you are turned down, if you are denied at the first level, at the state level, at the local Social Security office level, then I believe it is time to hire an attorney or representative, because there are so many rules, regulations, and the law. It's difficult to understand those things. There are so many rules that if you don't apply within a certain period of time, if you don't appeal within a certain period of time, your case will be dismissed. Then there are particular rules and regulations, such as a new rule, a 5-day rule. If you don't get all the evidence in prior to 5 days, 5 days prior to your hearing, then the judge does not have to. The judge could, based on the exceptions. For every rule, there are exceptions. The judge does not have to accept that evidence. So there are particular rules that the average individual would not know about. So yes, if you're initially denied, it is time to hire an attorney.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. You said something early on. You said that a lot of times people get denied because the person that they may be working with may not know the rules. How do you identify a qualified person? They say they're qualified, but how do you know for sure that they actually know the rules and that they, I know that their intention is to help you, but they may not know the rules. Do you ask for references? Is there somewhere for you to go and look for this information? How do you know that you're working with the right person? The right person is handling your claim.
Well, I don't know that that there is a place to go for them. I don't think so. You might check with the local bar association to see if that person has any complaints about them, and that could be a way to evaluate the services they're going to provide. But simply ask them, how long have you been a Social Security rep? How many cases have you handled? What is your background with respect to Social Security disability claims? And it's the same due diligence that you would do when you go out to hire any attorney for any other reason, whether it be personal injury or anything else, to close on your home, for any reason. It's the logical questions that you would ask any attorney.
Now I know that I've heard some crazy cases, and this one case stick out in my head. And I heard this young lady say, I think I was in a restaurant or something, and she was a young woman. She probably was in her late 20s, and she had a son, and she was like, I guess she didn't want to work, and she said, I took my son to the Social Security office, and I told him, we get inside the office, I want you to get down and bark like a dog. And the child did just what she said do, and they were able to get Social Security. I know you've probably heard of some crazy stories sitting on the bench. What is one of the most crazy stories you've heard for someone coming in to file a claim for disability, if you've heard any?
I have been involved in some crazy stories. I hesitate in giving you the crazy story because remember there is a person out there who had this crazy story.
Right.
But I had a young man tell me that people were chasing him and someone sliced him very badly with a razor, and he had to have X amount of stitches, and his arm was open. He almost lost his arm, and I asked him, which arm, right arm or left arm? He said, left arm. And I said, well, you have a short sleeve shirt on, and I don't see a scar on your left arm. Generally, if you have the amount of stitches, the number of stitches that you indicated you had the best plastic surgeon in the world, or you didn't have as many stitches as you had. That's just one of the crazy stories that come to mind, and I'd rather not get into too many of the others because there are real people out there who may have another problem. Now, this gentleman may have told me that story, may have had some other mental issues or psychologically based issues, and that's why he told me the story. But that story does sound a little crazy when you're sitting on the bench and you don't see a scar at all.
Right. You don't see a scar at all, and he has on a short sleeve shirt, so that is crazy. Now, what are some of the reasons that a claim may be denied? Like, people come in and they want to file their claims. What could be some possibilities for them being denied, their claim being denied once they start the process?
Well, there are so many possibilities that I couldn't go through them. But let me tell you what process the Social Security office as well as the administrative law judge goes through. There's a 5-stage process that an administrative law judge goes through, and the adjudicator down at the state level would go through something very, very similar. First, there is an issue with money. The Social Security Act and Social Security disability is for people who are unable to work. And so if you are working, you don't qualify for Social Security disability. And there are a number of people who believe that I can still work and collect Social Security disability benefits. That is not true. There is each year, Congress comes up with a number, we call that substantial gainful activity. If you make more than that particular amount, then you generally do not qualify for Social Security disability. Remember earlier, I said for every rule, there are exceptions. So that rule is not a black and white rule. It is not a black letter of the law, as attorneys say. So there are exceptions, and that's another reason why, if you're turned down, you may need to engage an attorney because they know those rules. There are ways to say, yes, you make a little bit more than substantial gainful activity, the level of substantial gainful activity. However, we can reduce that amount because of your medications or because of some other reason. So that's the first step. If you make too much, you're not going to qualify. That's probably one of the major determinations made that cause a person to be denied. The second thing is someone has to decide whether your impairment is a severe impairment. And there's a definition of severe impairment within the rules of Social Security. If your impairment is not severe, you would not qualify. Now, that's a decision that's made after looking at your medical records, or whatever medical records you supply, or whatever medical records Social Security asks for. So that's another step. And then they have to decide how much work you can do. A lot of that goes into how old you are, the level of education. Again, I'm getting back to rules and regulations. What kind of work you've done before, how limiting your impairments are. It is a, well, I won't say complicated, but it is a formula that unless you practice in this area, you may not necessarily understand. So those are 3 of the 5 steps, and people are turned down because of the amount of money they are earning, or because their impairments are not severe, or despite their impairments, the Social Security Administration believes that there is work available for them.
Cool. So now listen, I know that there are a lot of people out there listening to this, and they probably do need your help. And I think about my friends and my cousin, my aunt broke her foot. It must have been about probably 4 years ago. She broke her foot to the bone was just actually popping out. It took her 3 years, and she could barely walk. So she walks with a limp. And the job that she was doing, she was actually working in a hospital where she was on her feet most of the time. But it took her practically 3 years to get approved. Like, she literally just got approved last month after 3 years of having a trauma to her foot. And so what do you tell people when they're waiting? They have to live, and they have to try to figure out how to make ends meet, and they're waiting for this, hopefully for the claim to go through. And I don't even know if that is considered a long time to be waiting 3 years to be approved.
In my opinion, it's far too long.
Okay.
However, I don't know that we can change the system. In order to shorten that period, Congress would have to approve hiring many, many, many more people in the Social Security Administration. That's not likely to happen. It's not likely to happen. And unfortunately, people are having to wait longer and longer. However, if you hire an attorney can do some things that might shorten the period. And again, there are so many rules and regulations on how to shorten the period that it's too much to try to provide the legal education about that in this short period of time that we have together. But there are people who wait, or they're claimants. That's what we call the individual who is applying for Social Security benefits, disability benefits. I'm sorry, not retirement, Social Security disability benefits. That person is called a claimant. There are ways to shorten that period that a claimant waits. Now, there are exacting rules in that regard. So all claimants will not qualify to have that period shortened. But certain things, if you are a disabled vet, if you're a disabled veteran, that period can possibly be shortened. And then I'm not going to go into all the other rules because this is not a class on the law. Mm-hmm. There are several ways to shorten that period. But unfortunately, most people wait the full period because they don't qualify to have an expedited hearing. And that is unfortunate. And I don't know of any way, well, there are certain things, certain little tricks maybe, but I don't know of any way that most people will have that period reduced. It's just simply a long waiting period. And your question was, what do you tell people? I don't have an answer for that.
Wow.
People struggle every single day to survive. But if they are at that survival stage, if they don't have any family to take care of them, if they're without a home, if they're down to their last penny, maybe they will meet those rules and they can get an expedited hearing. But that's done on a case-by-case basis, and the attorney or representative has to write a short brief and request it. So that's something that you need, that individual, that claimant, needs to talk about with their chosen representative.
Wow. I mean, a lot of great information here. I sit here and I listen to you, and God forbid I ever have to do this. But if I do, I know exactly who to call. I know exactly who to refer now. And I'm thinking of a young gentleman as I sit here and listen to you. He's 30 years old, and he got part of his foot shot off. He was at home. His mom was a millionaire, and he said they kept guns around the house because, I guess they were afraid. And he was younger, and his friends came over, and he was playing a game, and the mother told him to put the gun away, and the friend, instead of him putting the gun away, he took the gun out and shot the gun, not knowing that it hit his friend and it shot his foot off. And he said, just so happened, the day that he had to go to the hospital, there was a doctor in New Jersey there to work on one of the mayors of New Jersey at that hospital. And he was flown in for this particular mayor to help him. And as the doctor was leaving, he heard the other doctor saying they was going to have to amputate his foot. And at that time, I think he was 18 years old. And that doctor took his coat off, and he came in and he saved part of his foot. So he can walk, but he can't really walk well. And so I know for a fact that he's had some issues financially. And I said to him, well, have you ever tried to get, your disability? And he said he had never tried to, try to do it. But I think I'm going to definitely share your information with him, because I know he's right now in need of some financial help. Family and friends have been helping him. But I know, he's a young man with pride, and I know he would love to be able to do things on his own. And so I'm going to share your information with him so he can reach out to you. Maybe you can help him. He showed me the foot, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit, but he's doing okay. I think he just needs a little help, and I think you can help him.
Well, please do. I would love to talk to him about his case. And as I said, each case is a little bit different. Mm-hmm. And I'd have to get some more information from him to make an assessment of the case. But I'll talk to anyone about their case, whether they hire me or not. Mm-hmm. Talk to them about their case and give them the best guidance that I can.
Well, thank you so much. Please tell people how to reach out to you, because I know that there's a lot of people out there that could use your help, whether they hire you or not, like you say. But just the information you've given here today, I know that there are people out there listening who could definitely use some advice and in a direction on which way they should be going with getting their claims form filled out. How can they reach you?
They can reach me at 404-519-4586. And let me close with just saying a couple quick things.
Okay.
People need to hire a representative because the rules, the regulations, the law may be confusing. Or probably is confusing to them. And then even when you get before a judge, that individual has to understand that each judge, they're different. They come with their own baggage to the courtroom. They all have idiosyncrasies. So unless you've practiced before these judges before, you don't really know what to expect. Some want briefs. Others wouldn't read a brief even if submitted. And each judge has a different personality. They concentrate on different portions of the case. Some concentrate on past work. Some concentrate on the medical evidence. Some are very inquisitive and have many questions about a claimant's daily activities. So hire somebody when you get to that stage. That would be my advice. I would tell my own children, if you're going to go in to a hearing, if you've been denied for Social Security disability, it pays at that point to hire a representative. And I'm going to tell you why I say hire me. I'm passionate about what I do and why I do it. I've already said, when I was a sitting judge, I saw too many files, too many applicants, too many claimants denied for a variety of reasons. Poor evidence, poor representation. I decided at that point that I would retire and provide excellence. I would provide the best representation possible for claimants. I've adjudicated thousands of cases as a disability judge, and I'd like to bring what I've learned in my tenure as a judge to the table to provide great, excellent service to those who are seeking Social Security benefits. And here's what I say. If you want the judge on your side, call me at 404-519-4586 or visit me at my website, please. And that's www.advocatedisabilityllc.com. Thank you so much.
If you want the judge on your side, call him, Judge Barry Williams. Thank you so much for a great interview and so much great information. I really believe this is going to help somebody, and I really do appreciate you taking the time to be here with me today and really just imparting all this knowledge upon people who are probably really struggling right now to get this thing done. So I'm so glad that you have stepped up to the plate and say, you know what, I'm here to help. Thank you so much, Judge, for spending some time with me today.
Love to come back anytime. Thank you very much.
Love to have you anytime. Thank you. Have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. Listen, I'll be back again next week. And until next time, if you missed the episode of the show, go to www.goodmorninggwinnett.com. Check out past episodes there. Check out my guest from Wednesday. That was Mr. Chris Cook talking about, creating your financial destiny. And also make sure to come next week. We'll be back again on Monday talking more about what you can do and what's going on around Gwinnett and around the states and beyond. Until next time, everybody, be safe and have a great weekend and make it a great day.
You've been listening to Good Morning Gwinnett. Make sure to tune in daily at 9 a.m. Eastern Time to find out what's happening around Gwinnett. If you miss an episode, go to www.goodmorninggwinnett.com to catch up. If you like this episode, go ahead and subscribe to the show now and share it with your friends.